So, this is going to be a mess. I just want to say that this video is going to be kind of more about like my memories, my experiences, like kind of maybe more about myself than about these books. When you read a book, but you really read it, let it like do stuff to you, to your mind, let it affect you, then it might affect you for like a very long time. It might leave you with some very good or sometimes even bad memories. And I think it's really interesting that something that someone created can affect so many people in so many different ways. Because like, just think about it. Reading a book, when you normally you don't think about it like that. Like, reading a book is just like reading a story, and like you meet the characters and you like go through the story with them, but like you read it and then it's done, whatever. But when you really think about it, like for each person, reading each book is going to be very different. Like, it depends on when you're reading it, like it depends on your mindset, you know? So I just wanted to talk about these few books because they affected me in a way that I wanted to share. And yeah, I just wanted to tell you why they're special and why I'll always kind of love them. So, the first book I'm going to talk about is, I feel like it's special for many people. Harry Potter. Oh, also, what you may or may not know, I'm from Poland, so all these like titles will be in Polish, but whatever. The story is the same. That's the point. So yeah, Harry Potter. I feel like we all know Harry Potter, right? But the thing with Harry Potter is it's kind of old now. Like, the books came out first book came out in 1998, I think. That's what I read here. So this is really old now. So I think many people have like very distant memories of really reading it for the first time. I remember when the books were coming out. I was a kid. I was like maybe 8. I mean, I was younger when this came out. I wasn't even alive, oh my god. I was young. But when my dad first read it to me, I was like maybe like 7. No, I must have been younger. So maybe I was like 6 or 5 or 6, something like, I was something like 6, so a very little kid. And of course I don't specifically remember hearing my dad read specifically like this to me. I only have like very distant memories of like falling asleep and hearing my dad. And I know that he read so many books to me. and my sister. But Harry Potter was really special because while the books were coming out, we used to like get them as soon as we finished the previous one. So like we read the first one and my dad got the second one, and I was like, oh my god, you got the second one, that's so cool, we're gonna read it again. And I don't remember getting to know the story or the characters. I remember being in love with it from the very first times ever reading it. Oh my god, that is so... yeah, it's old. But the thing is, I never really read it myself. So I only know the story, like the overall story, from mainly the movies actually, and from this like blurry memories. So I feel like I should read it again, and I feel like if I did, then I actually would get it. Like, I would understand it, because hearing my dad read it to me was magical, and I'm really glad he did, because I love these memories. Like, yeah, basically Harry Potter was with me through all my life, like almost, and it's a nice feeling to know that. But if I read the whole series now, I think that would like be something else, you know? Because like combining these memories with actually understanding all these little like the whole story, but all this little oh my god, I can't talk. Combining like these memories with actually understanding the whole story for the first time, and like really reading about the characters I know so well. Like, this could be really weird but really awesome at the same time. Reading to a kid and opening the kid's mind to basically imagine a whole world out of only hearing what like your dad says or whatever. That's fascinating. That, yeah, like basically the fact that a human mind is able to imagine a whole world out of nothing is amazing. And I think we should like take a moment to think about the fact that all these books, like, they come from the writer's mind. I think we should take a moment to be like, to just like read a book and think for a second that someone actually came up with this, like all of this out of nothing. Someone thought about this and wrote it down and created Harry Potter, basically. Like, you know, just imagine, oh my god, like imagine J.K. Rowling sitting in like a restaurant or whatever with her little notebook and basically writing Harry Potter. It's crazy and it's fascinating, and oh my god, we should take a moment to appreciate writer's mind, I think, because not only does the writer come up with this, like a whole other story and the world and characters and everything that comes with a whole book, and a writer comes up with this, but also writes it down. And not only writes it down, but like writes it, you know, in this special way. And like being able to write a story that you made up in your mind, but being able to write it in this special way that you want it to be, so it can make the reader feel the way you want him to feel. That's art. I mean, obviously, but dude, like, what? Like, imagine yourself just sitting down and writing a 7-part series, or like just like a novel or something. That seems impossible. Like, of course, writing something like Harry Potter takes years or however long, but it doesn't really matter, you know, how long. What matters is that a human mind did this. I don't know. I'm just sometimes like really amazed with what humans can do. And yeah, I think like, yeah, writers really don't get enough credit. Like, we know all these stories, like the most famous series like Harry Potter or Hunger Games, which I'm going to talk about later, and all of these big, like, you know what I'm talking about. We know this from mostly the movies. Like, we think about Harry Potter and we think about Daniel Radcliffe or Emma Watson, or, you know, or we think about Hunger Games and think about the movies mostly. Yeah, I'm going to talk about that more later, but yeah. The point is, human mind can be unbelievably open and able to do amazing things. And reading a book to a child might be something that makes it kind of possible, you know? Reading a book to a kid really opens a kid's mind and a kid's world, I think. Yeah, it's very special. I mean, I like Harry Potter now as well as I did some years ago, but oh yeah, that's the thing also. So when I was a kid, I loved Harry Potter. Like, I was obsessed to the point like, I was obsessed, my best friend was as well, and some of my other friends. We had like a group of just kids obsessed with Harry Potter, and we loved it to the point that oh my god, we were like running and playing outside, playing Harry Potter, of course, and like, I was Harry, my best friend was Ron or whatever, and it was so funny. Like, oh my god, it kind of makes me want to cry because I want to go back, but yeah. So yeah, basically the obsession was real. We like, oh my god, we had some friends that didn't know Harry Potter that well. So like, we were like, we're gonna teach you magic. And we like made other kids hold a stick as a wand, of course, and like say some spells or whatever from Harry Potter. And like try to like make something levitate or whatever. And the kids, and we would just like stand there like, do it. I know you can, prove you're a wizard to me, because I am. You have to prove by making some other stick levitate with another stick. Basically, literally what we did. I remember it so well now. And the other kids were like, dude, why won't you do this and like show us how to make something levitate, because we want to learn, but you're the teacher, you have to like show us, you know. And we were, mostly me, because I was a really like annoying kid. I was just like, no, you do it. I can do it, but I don't need to show you. Like, I'm so great. I'm such a great wizard. Like, I'm basically Harry Potter. Literally. Like, it was crazy, but it was amazing. And like, when I think about, oh my god, all the times when we were pretending to be the main characters. Some kids also made fun of us, but we were like, they're muggles. Literally. Yeah, it's magical. So, you know, just look at what a story can do to a person. Like, how many memories you could have just because someone read a book to you when you were little, you know? And yeah. Oh yeah, and oh my god, I was going for a story and I forgot. So, when I was a kid, I was very obsessed, we know that already. But later, when I was like 13 to like 15, something like that, I had a weird phase of being like, oh my god, like, this is so like humiliating. Like, I can't tell anyone I like Harry Potter. It's so childish, you know. And I mean, I wasn't that obsessed at this point, but I liked Harry Potter, you know. But I was like, oh my god, I can't tell anyone. And it wasn't only about Harry Potter, it was like just about things I liked. They seemed for some reason very childish to me, so I really like, I didn't share things that I liked with like anyone for some reason. And then when I went to high school and now, I'm just like, dude, why would you be ashamed of like liking Harry Potter? I mean, and I'm just like, yeah, I like Harry Potter, which is what a normal person would do, but yeah, for some reason when I was a little younger, I was like, no, I don't like Harry Potter. What? Harry Potter's for kids. I know, maybe it was just going through puberty or something, but yeah. It's very important to never be like ashamed of things that make you happy, ashamed of what you like, because it's so stupid. I mean, you need to share with people your interests. Like, that's how we make friends. You need to share with people what makes you happy, what brings you joy, and if it is Harry Potter, then go ahead and tell people you like Harry Potter, whatever. that's how you find people who like Harry Potter too, who like things you like. And that's how you make friends. I can't believe that my monologue about Harry Potter ended like this, but sure, whatever. Okay, the second book. I believe the original title is Let It Snow. There's like 3 short stories in here. One of them is by Maureen Johnson, the second one is by John Green, who I'm going to talk about a lot in this video because he is a genius. Okay, and the last story is, oh my god, I can't pronounce it, Lauren Merkel or whatever. I'm sorry, I can't pronounce it, whatever. Okay, so this book, oh my god, it feels really, really special, and also in like a weird, very like nostalgic way. And also I just want, oh my god, it smells like memories, you know. Okay, so I remember when I first got this book. Okay, but maybe I should talk about like the story a little, because it's not that famous as Harry Potter, I guess. Also, the book cover is gorgeous. It's so gorgeous. Okay, so there's 3 stories. Every one of them is about like Christmas, winter stuff, like teenagers and love. Basically the whole book is about like love and friendship, and you know, every one of these stories, they're all like connected. Like in the end, all the characters from all the book like meet and stuff. It's not even about the stories, it's not even like about the plot, but it makes me feel very special. I remember when I first got it, I was maybe like, wait, I don't know, but I was like maybe 13, 14, 12, something like that. And I remember getting it for Christmas. But I was like young and I didn't know John Green yet, or I didn't really read this much yet. And I remember being like, what is this, like, what, like, I didn't really, okay. And I literally just put it on the shelf and like never thought of it again for like a year or something, maybe even more than a year, because I was just like, oh, that's not for me, I don't want to read it, whatever. But after some time I read it, and first of all the stories are hilarious. Second of all, they're not only hilarious, but okay, if you read them and think about them after a while, there's this weird, very nostalgic feeling that comes with thinking about them. They're very special, they're amazing, of course, and they're very, very special. I literally feel like this book has been with me for such a long time, and like has been with me through a lot. I remember coming back to this book after I first read it a million times and being like, oh my god, I want to read it, like I need to read it, oh my god. mostly when it was like summer and it was really hot, and I was like, oh my god, I need to read it because it makes me feel like cold. It makes me feel like it's Christmas, and it really does. It's amazing. It has this amazing like Christmassy, wintry vibe, you know? It's very, very special. And I remember, oh my god, I remember one summer it was like extremely hot and I wanted to read it, but for some reason I remember reading it in a bathtub. I don't remember why. Maybe it was colder in the bathroom. Maybe I didn't feel like it was summer as much as I did like in my bedroom or whatever. But I remember reading it in the bathtub and being like so into the story that I literally almost believe it was winter. Like, it makes you feel very connected to the story. Like, literally like you're there with all the characters. And the characters also are amazing. They're very likable, but they're not like likable in a way that the authors wrote them to be likable. They wrote them to be realistic, and that makes them likable, I think. And like believable, you know? Like, oh my god, this is very special. When I think about it, I'm just like, yes, please. I love it so much. And I do. And I feel like I'm going to be coming back to this book after very many times, you know? It's not a book to just read and throw away or whatever. Not that you should do it with any book, but whatever. It's just something that when you read it after a while, it puts you in this very specific mindset of like weird kind of nostalgia, but like happy nostalgia, you know? Like happy mindset. Just remembering reading it makes me warm, even though it's about winter. Ew. You can only understand what I'm saying right now if you really read it and let it like affect you. And maybe like let yourself come back to this book after a while, and then come back to my video and hear my whatever I'm saying again and be like, oh yeah, I feel it too. Yeah. It's very special. Very, very special. I love it so much. The next book might seem a little confusing to you, because if you know it, if you know it, you probably think it's for kids. And it's basically Monster High. Okay, you may be like, yeah, or like clicking away or whatever. I mean, I do not want to generalize, but when I think about people thinking about it, I feel like most of them feel like Monster High is very childish, like it's for kids. And of course, like the TV series or the dolls, of course, are for kids, but I think some people don't know that it was originally a book. Actually, it was a series of books. And I remember when I first read it, I was like, oh my god, like maybe 11, 12. And I wouldn't say it's like specifically for kids. It's more like for teenagers. It might seem kind of cringy now for like people my age who are like, I don't know, 18 or older. But it's not that, I mean, it's not bad. It's not like, you know, the thing is, when I read it for the first time, I think I was like learning to open up to the world and like beginning to go through puberty, and you know, this time can be really like confusing. And reading this book like put me in a specific mindset that like kind of opened my mind into like thinking in a specific way about the world, maybe. I'm not saying I learned about the world from reading Monster High, but it was very special at the point when I was reading it for the first time. I was kind of obsessed with it, actually. I really liked the story and the characters. They didn't seem cringy at all at the time. I was younger, but like the way I think didn't change that much since I was like 12. It feels like it did, but it really didn't. So like, I really liked it. I remember like reading the first book and going through many stores to find the second one and the first one and the third one and the fourth one, because there are 4 of these. Yeah, I remember really liking the characters, and I think the thing is, maybe if you read it when you were like 18, you would be like, oh, that's kind of cringy. But I don't think you would be, I don't think you wouldn't enjoy it at all. I think it's really, I think it's a good book. And the problem is, most of the people, when they think about Monster High, they think about the dolls or the TV series and every other thing that is for kids. But I think many people should know that it was originally a book. It was just a story, you know, about like teenagers and crushes and high school. Yeah. Also, the thing is, I think that when I write my own stories now, I think that like the basic things that you should know about writing, I feel like I subconsciously took them from here. I kind of feel like it. I kind of feel like my mind remembers how to build a story from reading Monster High, as weird as it sounds. I feel like this book kind of taught me to like character, like it kind of teach me to like characters from books. Of course, earlier there was Harry Potter, as you already know, but I kind of shared Harry Potter with both my friends and my family. We all kind of liked it. But this was like the first book that I read, maybe not first, but one of the first books I really like read on my own and let it like affect me and let it like change the way I think, kind of, and the way I see the world. Mostly because I was like around the age of becoming to go through puberty, that mostly because of this book like helped opening my mind, kind of. And yeah, I'm really glad I read it at the point and I did. It's really not bad. Like, I'm looking at like the dialogues and stuff. Some of it is for sure like kind of cringy, but it's really not bad. Like, I have the impression that many people would think it's like, oh my god, it's like so cringy and so bad. It's definitely like for kids under the age of 11 or whatever, but it's really good and I have good memories with it. And I think we should think about the fact that it was originally just a story, and then it became all the songs and the dolls and stuff, which I personally don't like, because it made the story be kind of forgotten. I mean, of course, there is some of the story in the TV series, I guess, but the original story is here, and I feel like more people should know it. It did affect me in a very positive way. And I like thinking about it, you know? I like thinking about the story and the characters. The fact that, like, I read it on my own, and, like, my friends didn't really know it, and my family didn't know it at all. And that kind of makes me feel good, you know? It kind of makes me feel like it's kind of my own story, you know? Like, I know the characters and they mean something to me, and that feels really good. I don't know. I can't really properly describe the way the series, the Monster High series, makes me feel, but it's a good feeling. It definitely is. Okay, the next book. Paper Towns by John Green. Paper Towns. Okay. I'm smiling just from thinking about it because it's extremely filled with inside jokes. Inside jokes that me and my best friend created while we were reading it for the first time. And the thing is, we kind of read it together, or I mean kind of at the same time, because like I don't know, I was just trying to read all of John Green's books, I think, and I read this and it was very special. And I don't know if my best friend read it because she wanted to, or I made her or something, but I'm 100% sure that we had to read it both, because we went to school together and there was a project we had to do that we chose to do about paper towns, because it was supposed to be about like a book you read or something about it, and we chose to do a project about paper towns. But more about that later. The main thing I love about this book is the characters, and I think the characters are the main reason why as well as my friend fell in love with it. Because, you know, there's just something about John Green's books and like the characters in them that makes them so likable, but in a very special way, you know. The characters just feel very realistic, you know. They're not made to be funny, but they are funny because, like, the things they do and they think even seem very, like, you know, just realistic. Like, I don't know, something that the main characters thinks could be something that I would think, or any other reader. And yeah, just there's something about these characters that makes them feel very close. Like, you feel this weird connection with them. I don't know how to explain it, but if you ever read John Green's books, I think you know what I mean. Like, the characters they make you feel a lot. Like, when it's funny, it's like really funny. Like, it genuinely makes you laugh. Or not, maybe even not laugh, but it makes you warm, you know? It makes you feel very connected to the story, like extremely, and to characters. And yeah, back to the project thing. So, at the time when we were working on this project, we already had millions of inside jokes. And as you can see, like, my friend, while she was reading this book, she put these things in like funny fragments for us as an inside joke or whatever. So yeah, the book was funny, very funny for us, and we had to like present it to the class and to the teacher, who actually for some reason didn't really like us. So it was even harder for us to present anything. But yeah, we had to present it. And the thing about presenting something to the class is that it can be really stressful, of course, but it makes you feel very like vulnerable to present something that close to your heart to like strangers. I mean, not strangers, but let's say strangers. To people who just don't get it. Like, you feel this strong connection to this book, and you have to present it to the class and try to make them feel this special way that you felt while reading it. It makes you feel very vulnerable to like open up about things that make you so passionate, you know? And that's, for example, why I'm very stressed about this video that I'm making right now. Like, I'm just talking about my memories, like my thoughts. Like, first of all, who cares? What are going people? Oh my god, I can't even talk. That's how stressed about it I am. I really am. And yeah, it's just because when you're passionate about something, it would hurt a lot more if someone would like not only not get it, but like you know what I mean? I don't know if you know what I mean, but it can be really hard if someone reacts in a negative way to something you're very passionate about. That was the hard part about making this project. Like, we had to keep it like professional, like kind of away from the inside jokes, but it was also impossible to present basically this book without the jokes. So we were like, you know, just talking about it. Like, it was kind of funny. I don't remember either class's reaction or the teacher's reaction really, but I remember working on the project and it was amazing. We did like a whole short movie about the main character or the main like story. and it was very fun. It's just, this book is packed with memories. It's filled with memories for me, because yeah, it's very connected to mine and my friends' like relationship. You know, it's just, it's an amazing story. But for me personally, it's also very funny because of all the jokes and all the stuff we came up while reading it for the first time, me and my best friend. So yeah, oh my god, if you read this book and tell me you didn't feel like a special connection to the characters or the story, I'm not going to believe you, like, at all, because it's impossible to read John Green's book and be like, nah, it's just impossible. And Paper Towns is amazing. Also, there are like fragments of poems, of Walt Whitman's poems in this, and it makes this book so deep and beautiful that it's unexplainable. It's really beautiful, like the story, and oh my god, it makes you feel special, like every one of these books. That's why I'm talking about it, but it does, and it's filled with memories for me and my best friend. Oh my god, I feel like talking about these books, I feel like I'm not saying enough. Like, there are so many things that make these books special for me, and it's just impossible for me to like bring these things together and just spill it out for you to hear. It's like impossible for me to say, you know, some things you just feel inside when you, for example, read a book. It's really hard, but I hope that you will get what I mean. And what I mean is, books are connected to like memories and like very real feelings that you may feel inside just from reading a book. Okay. Hunger Games. Hunger Games is such a huge thing. It's like a lot, it really is, and it's really intense. Before filming it, I like wanted to kind of remind myself a little bit about it, because I read it some time ago, like kind of a long time ago. So I wanted to remind myself about it. And dude, I think people... Okay, so Hunger Games was very popular like a while ago. So I feel like now people who liked it that some years ago, like me, for example, I feel like people begin to kind of forget how intense it was. And of course, I'm talking about the movies too, but the book, dude, it's so intense, like emotionally, dude, I can't even. When I first read it, I must have been like 14, I would say 14, whatever. When I first read it, oh my god, the mindset this book puts you in is crazy. Like, we all know the story, let's say. Most of us. Most of the people know the story. The story alone is a lot. But like, when you read a book, I mean, oh my god, this book can destroy you emotionally. It really can. And it did. It destroyed me when I first read it. And in the because this is the trilogy. Especially the Mockingjay, the last part. Just when I read it, I was so into the story. Oh my god, like, it might seem funny for you, it might seem like, oh my god, that's too much, like, oh my god, get over it. But if you really think about it, and when you read the story, it's really like serious, and it makes you fall in love with the characters, of course, but in a very different way than like all the other books, because it's so serious. Like, oh my god, when you really think about it, like, the Mockingjay, I feel like, made me feel too much. Like, it was too much for my mind. The things that Susan Collins wrote are so important. And the story, like, the moral of the story and everything, it's very, like, everyone should read it. That's this kind of a book that everyone should read. Reading Mockingjay, I was like crying. Maybe not even crying, but it was just, it hurt my heart. And a lot of books do, but it was very special. You know? And of course we all know Hunger Games, so like, what can I say about it that you don't already know? Well, I'll say read a book. I mean, read the book, this book. Read this book. Because it's, okay, the movies are intense, but the book, dude, it's much more like mentally and emotionally challenging and draining, emotionally drained. That's how I felt when I finished reading this book. And like, oh my god, when I think about it now, I can't really feel the same way that I felt while reading it. It's impossible. It's like you can only feel this special, like, really, really intense way when you first read it. When you read it for the first time. Now when I think about it, I just remember I was in a very specific mindset. Like, the vibe of this book is just unbelievable. It's unbelievable how Susan Collins created this whole world, this scary world, this scary reality, and made it not only believable, but thanks to this, very, like, soul-crushing almost. Like, of course you get to know the characters and you like them, or you don't, whatever. But like, overall, the way you feel, like, when I just like look at this cover of this book and remember how I felt It's crazy. I really wonder if you can relate, if you read it some time ago and you also remember that specific mindset, if you really read it, then you really felt it. It makes you feel very different than other books, you know? It's very Hunger Games. It's Hunger Games. When you think about Hunger Games, don't you have this feeling? Specific? You know, every book has its vibe. Every movie has its vibe. And it's always special. But some of them are more intense. And this one... when we think about Hunger Games, that's the thing that I talked about when I was talking about Harry Potter already. But when we think about Hunger Games, mostly we think about the movies, I think. And we think about Jennifer Lawrence and Josh Hutcherson. And it's fine. I mean, I'm not saying that we shouldn't be amazed with things they did, because it's amazing how they play the characters and all, but we don't give credit at all to Susan Collins. I feel some people don't even know who she is, even when they know Hunger Games. And it's crazy. She wrote it. She thought about it. I mean, dude, when you think about it, that's a lot to think about. Susan Collins, are you okay? No, but it's amazing. And I think, because it seems so not fair that when you think about Hunger Games, you think about whatever, but you don't think about the person who came up with it. It seems so unfair. I feel more people should take a moment to think about how this woman came up with this and wrote it. How did she do it? I don't know. I really don't know. I don't know if I want to know, because it's so intense. But I'm really glad that I read it when I read it, because now I feel Hunger Games has a whole section in my mind as well as in my heart, because oh my god, the things I felt are unexplainable. And I feel everyone who read the trilogy will feel the same way. That's a lot. The vibe of this book, man, it's so I don't know if it makes you feel good. I mean, it makes me feel good because it's a story. And it's a good story. It's such a great book. But the vibe is so, I don't know how to describe it. The vibe of this book is heavy. Making you feel guilty almost, or something. Very, very intense. But I feel everyone should read it because it's important. And yeah, Susan Collins, thank you, dude. Oh my god. And you may be oh, come on, calm down. But I cannot. When I think about it, it's too much. It's too much. Hunger Games is really a lot. So the last book I have here is Looking for Alaska by John Green. And before you're dude, stop with the John Green books, I'm gonna stop you, because you're not ready for looking for Alaska. You're never ready for this book, because it's something. It's really something. I've never, like, cried while reading a book, I think, but this book had me very close to crying. And, you know, okay, so I felt really sad when I read it. But it wasn't just like sad because, no, it's a sad book. It's not specifically a sad book. It's an amazing book. But in the end, you're gonna be sad. But you're gonna be sad in this special, like, very metaphysical way. I sound crazy, but emotions are just really hard to describe. But yeah, it's overall an amazing book. An amazing book, really. Like, I would say it's John Green's best book. Yeah, I would say that. And like, oh my god. Like, I have many memories connected to this book, but one of them is very, very, like, oh, standing out for me. So back at school, we had a thing called night at school. It was basically like it was like a Fridays, and the thing was we could spend the night at school, but like, you know, just have a huge sleepover at school with your classmates or something. But the thing is, one time I ended up spending a night at school with people I didn't really like, and this book literally saved me from feeling extremely lonely. So yeah, at the time I was in a drama club that I didn't really want to be in, but a teacher had asked me to join, so I didn't want to say no to a teacher. So yeah, I ended up being in a drama club with none of my friends and like people that I didn't really like. I mean, I don't know if I disliked them, but I didn't really understand them and they didn't understand me. It was just a place that I didn't want to be in. And one time the teacher that was like a leader of this club had an amazing idea of making us go to school at night, having a night at school only for this drama club, because, well, the teacher said, oh, we have to practice a lot, so like a night at school is a perfect opportunity to be together for a long time, so maybe we could, like, you know, practice a little bit and watch some movies and do stuff that you would normally do during a night at school. So yeah, I was very not happy about it, but I didn't have, like, nothing to say. Like, I couldn't do anything about it. I had to go. Yeah, I had to go. It was yeah. And I was very upset and I felt lonely, but when it was like getting late, when it was like, I don't know, 3 a.m. or something, and it was completely dark. I mean, the lights in the halls were lit up for us to see anything, but it was, the school my school was huge, so like the halls, some of them were the lights were on, but most of the lights were out, so it was mostly very dark, and it was also dark outside because it was the middle of the night. And I felt really uncomfortable because of these people, and just the atmosphere wasn't like my favorite. So yeah, it was like around 3 a.m. Most of the people were like falling asleep or like already asleep. There was some movie on, but no one was really watching it anymore. Even like the teachers were falling asleep. And I remember just walking around the school halls, which were totally empty, like it was only the school and me. It felt like it, because it was so quiet and like kind of dark. And yeah, I remember having Looking for Alaska with me, and I remember sitting in the hall and just reading it. And you know, the atmosphere was really weird. Like, just imagine being at school all by yourself. I mean, I wasn't all by myself, but it felt like it. Imagine being at school all by yourself, knowing it's the middle of the night, and looking at these empty halls and darkness outside. It was like I just was looking outside the window, and there were completely like empty streets, like dark tall buildings. It felt like kind of scary even, maybe, but very magical in a way. And I was reading Looking for Alaska, so I could like completely dive into the story, feel literally like I'm one of the characters. And the story is a lot. It makes you feel very close to the characters, like every John Green's book. But just being at this empty school and reading this story and being like fully focused on the story, you know, and feeling every little feeling that this made me feel. It was very magical. And I remember finishing it before it was even sunrise. And yeah, I was like kind of sleepy, but also in this weird state of mind that you are after finishing a very good book, you know what I mean? Like, you feel so, I don't know, nostalgic, like so magical for some reason. And yeah, the empty school, the night, this almost sunrise, and Looking for Alaska was something. It was a very special experience. And I read this book a lot of times after that, and every time it just takes me into, it just feels like my mind is no longer mine. It's all about the story, the characters, and like my thoughts are one with characters' thoughts. It sounds crazy, but yeah. And it's overall an amazing book. Like, it's so beautifully written. Like, it's almost like, it feels almost like poetry, you know? It makes you feel this like sadness but happiness at the same time. I don't know, it makes you feel like empty and full at the same time. It's really weird and unexplainable. It's fully unexplainable. Like, I could go on and talk about it for a whole another hour or something, and I would not be able to get across what I feel when I think about this book, or about any of these books that I just talked about, because the main reason why they feel special to me is because they make me feel special, like inside, and they bring back memories, which are some things that I literally am not able to explain. So, to understand it, you will have to live my memories or something. I mean, the thing is, each book is something else for every person. Like, every person will think something else, will feel something else, but I believe these books, like, as long as you let them, they will make you feel very special, and they will really affect you and leave you memories like they did for me. So yeah, I think that's all. You know, it's very complicated, and also at the same time I feel like it's very simple. You just feel it. Yeah, you just feel it. Yeah. So yeah, that's all. I hope me talking nonsense about special things made you feel a little special too, I guess. Bye.